to my stream today. We're just going to be doing some World of Warcraft, probably doing just LFR right now because I want to just hop in there and get going on something. So I'm going to go ahead and queue up for things right now. And as people are joining, feel free to ask questions, talk to me, all those kind of things. Got chat open, and I will see everything that you post. Let's go ahead and get things started. Assume as more people get here, we'll also have LFR actually going, so that'll probably work out nicely. Just because this content's so easy to stream. I don't want to do that one, though. I already done that one this week. So I've got everything right now except for Blackhand's Crucible up within, actually, all the LFRs. There's actually really recent news, too, that item levels right now, if you check this out, for the Blackrock Foundry, we've got like 650 is what LFR is, and then normal is only 665, which is kind of lowish. So they're actually bumping all of these item levels up by 5 item levels. So this will make a much more pronounced difference between this and High Mall, where normal is 655. So now it'll be 670 in normal for other content. And then these will be 15 item levels higher still for Raid Finder in each of the dungeons. So it'll be a huge, huge jump now. I'm going to go ahead and actually check on my own stream too. I'm curious if things are displaying correctly as we're just queuing up here. I'm going to go run around and do some garrison stuff while we're waiting on various queues as well. If things take a little bit too long, then I'll probably hop in there and I'll just do a dungeon. Whoa. Forgive me for that, which no doubt just blasted on stream. I was booting up my own window on Twitch and then it unmuted itself when there was an advertisement, so that was obnoxious. But I apologize for that. Lots of herbs in the herb garden. I think I've been enjoying the garrison system all in all, but it does end up feeling like there's a lot of chores to do every day, which is strange. Saberplays says, Zach, I'm here! Hi! Hello, Saberplays. Thank you for joining. We are just getting started here. Things are taking off a little bit slowly. Gonna see if I can get into some LFR queues, and if failing that, I will just go ahead and jump into dungeons so we have something interesting going on. But we're gonna give it a few minutes, at least harvest all these flowers first. Actually, I was an herbalist for the longest time in World of Warcraft. I was herbalist alchemist. And then back in one of my guilds, even though I was still like top DPS, it was really funny. I had my guild master be like, okay, you need to change your profession to something besides herbalism, because back then, you know, professions had game-based, like DPS-based benefits, so they'd increase your DPS, and herbalism was terrible for that. So he paid me like all of the money I needed to level up my engineering, so now I'm an engineer. And nowadays in World of Warcraft, you just have the herb garden, so it's not even like you need those other professions. Must feel honestly kind of strange if those were one of the professions that you like. We've kind of devalued both mining and herbalism quite a bit. Saberplays asks, did you get Pokemon Omega Ruby and Sapphire? I got Alpha Sapphire. So yes. I haven't actually played it that much though, because I've been doing other games. Namely, I've just been like super into I've been really into just doing Super Smash Brothers recently and really honing my skills on that. Oh, I don't want to actually. That didn't give me the loot. Gonna do that trick. Much better. Yeah, so I've been doing a lot of World of Warcraft and a lot of Super Smash Brothers recently because I've just been honing, fine-tuning my Super Smash Brothers game, so I haven't actually like finished Alpha Sapphire, which makes me feel weird as a Pokemon fan as much as one as I am. I mean, I go to like my campus's Pokemon Club every week and everything. So I'm like a pretty devoted Pokemon fan. But I just haven't had time to devote to it. I did just get one of the new 3DSs now, though, for my birthday, which is awesome, and I'm really glad to finally have one of the new 3DSs. They're so fun. Heatening Man says, I wish Caitlyn had won. Yeah, Caitlyn winning would have been interesting. But I am glad that, like, we at least had a guy win King of the Nerds finally. It seems weird that, like, it was going to start becoming, like, a major joke if it was, you know, oh, it's King of the Nerds, but only girls win. So I'm glad that eventually a guy managed to win. Did someone pull these already? Are these attacking? No, they're not. Okay, she's just doing target practice. I was looking at this gunner over there, and she's already shooting things, and I'm like, what the heck? Did someone pull that? And no, it's just that she's shooting the targets. I always forget that, because these guys, Blizzard's done a really good job recently of creating, like, really living environments, I feel like, especially with these dungeons. And they have the NPCs kind of just doing stuff even when you're not there. So they have a little bit more of a life than just waiting around for you to attack them. Oh, now we pulled another thing, but we're okay. Saber plays, and did you think Ben should have won or Jonathan? I actually really liked both of them. I thought that Jonathan played a really good strategic game. So obviously, you know, he played a good social game, which I think is meaningful. It's obviously not. It's sometimes almost been frowned on in King of the Nerds, which is strange because obviously in a lot of Survivor kind of games, that's just how you play the game. On King of the Nerds, that's kind of been a strategy and a sort of way of playing the game that gets frowned on a lot. But I think he played a good game, and he was certainly the person I was expecting to win. I thought it was great that when Ben didn't have like any followers or supporters at all going into the Quiz Bowl thing, that he still managed to totally like kick everyone's butt and be the first person into the winner's circle. That was very satisfying to watch. Can we not have the Earth Elemental stealing threat for me, please? Wow. That's making it really difficult. I just lost threat to that thing, and then it attacked a bunch of people. Because the Earth Elemental is it's a tanking totem that they basically put down if you're a shaman. But it steals threat from tanks. Anyway. The stream stutters pretty much, for me at least. How many frames dropped? I'm at, like, 60 frames per second, 30 frames per second on bare minimum. So it shouldn't actually be stuttering. I am streaming at an extremely, high level. I just opened it up on my own screen, and it's not actually stuttering at all. I stream at a very high streaming rate. So sometimes if you have a slow connection, it's not going to display perfectly. But I'm looking at it on mine at least, and it looks to be working correctly. Is that a Triceratops I see? Yes, that is Stompy the Triceratops. I've actually posted any Stompy Triceratops pictures recently, but he became a really, like, actual staple on my Facebook page after I posted a picture, and it went, like, really viral compared to most of my other pictures I'd posted. And since then, it's become traditional that I post really silly pictures of Stompy the Triceratops, and it just became a thing that was extremely popular and very demanded by my fan base, which was bizarre. Patty Rick says, good afternoon, Zach. How are you doing on this fine day? I'm doing fantastic, and thank you for asking. How are you doing? Also, we've apparently destroyed this monster before it could do almost anything. That's amusing. Just gonna move out of the fire, though, there. Why is he, like, kneeling down? Is everyone else seeing this? He still looks like he's trying to be mounted on his thing, but it's dead. We killed his wolf, but he's still trying to ride on the wolf. Who do you like more, Katy Perry or Left Shark? Says Saber Plays. I guess Left Shark, because I'm not really that big of a Katy Perry fan, but Left Shark is pretty awesome. He knows where it's at. Let's pull the next enemy right away. So then, in theory, when we're out of this, we should have a Raid Finder queue probably pretty soon. But we'll hang out for that, because that'll be more interesting, of course, doing some actual of the new raid content, even on LFR. It's a lot harder to do the Group Finder stuff or whatever on a stream, because you end up sitting in the queue for a long time. Zach, you should get Nightbot and let song requests. I haven't really investigated a lot of things when it comes to bots on Twitch, but I'm definitely interested in looking into that kind of stuff. Make the channel interesting. So last time I was here, I actually finally got the Expert Timing achievement, which is the slay 4 of these guys in a single Iron Star. Wonder if we can replicate something that good. Don't think we can. Let's just go ahead and do this. This will just ensure that we actually kill stuff. Here. There we go. That works. Good. We killed all 4 of them at least. That's what's important. Did I? Oh yeah, we do have to pull these. These didn't. Wow! Everything that didn't get killed, it was just these 2 little guys right here, and somehow they were not destroyed. I think someone pulled them. I don't know if it was me by accident when I was looking down at the chat. All good. They are going down fast. I love how prot DPS is right now, just even when you're in tank mode as a warrior. My DPS feels like really, really high always. Which is kind of fun for dungeons and whatnot. Patrick says, I wish I could afford this game. I haven't played in a month. Hashtag withdrawal. It seems to be the #1 reason that people will actually quit WoW. But you know, depending on what kind of player you were, they're going to be releasing the WoW token system. It's going to be like the system in WildStar where you could basically buy your game time for in-game currency. So what you can do with that is other people will basically pay for your game time, and you just have to give them gold to be able to get that game time effectively. So it's a legalized way to sell game time in the game. It's a legitimate way to do it and a safer way to do it. Which means that if you're someone who spends a lot of time playing the auction house, or if you're just those kind of things, if you can't afford World of Warcraft, you'll still be able to play 100% for free. Which is a very interesting concept. Whoa, I think our healer is still back there getting shot by cannons, which is why I'm taking damage. Our healer needs to be careful. Heal me, healer, do your job. Okay, it's back under control. We're back under control now. Let's go ahead and leap over here. Whee! Well, the healer can reach me from here, so I'm good. I'll just pull. Yeah, I'm usually really poor in World of Warcraft 2. Right now I'm sitting at like 22k almost, which is like really rich for me actually. I have a couple of really expensive mounts, but they're things that like I worked my way up to. Like I have my Sky Golem here, Sandstone Drake here, and these are things that my Sandstone Drake actually was a very funny story. I was in the race back when the Sandstone Drake came out, and you could actually get that mount. I was in the races for like being one of the first people, among the first people in the world, and then certainly the first person on my server to have the thing. And I was trying to go for that because I was like, you know, if I can manage to get this recipe first, people will start paying you like 10, 15k tips just to make the mount because you're the only one with it. So I was trying to get that, and I ended up lining up who was basically my first client, first person I was going to make one for, and we talked for like the whole time I was working on getting this thing, which ended up being like a really long amount of time. I spent about 300 hours looking for this stupid recipe, and when I finally, what happened eventually was that someone beat me to the punch. And I was really disappointed, and I told the guy, you know, you can just go make the thing if you want with that other person, that's fine. But we'd been talking for a long time and had become pretty good friends by then. So he ended up saying, you know, the whole time, the whole 300 hours you've been working on trying to do the archaeology to get the Vial of the Sands recipe, I've been actually mining, and I've been collecting ore. So the tip that I was going to give you has gotten progressively larger. So how about we just both go to the person who got the recipe first, and you can have her make my vial, and I'll also give you enough materials that you can make your own vial. So he actually just gave me basically the mount because we had become such good friends, and that worked out pretty well. So that's how I got that one. Sky Golem I saved up and I did most of the stuff on my own because I am an engineer and I'm also an alchemist, so I could do most of the stuff on my own. Traveler's Tundra Mammoth, that was also a save-up one, but I am indebted to the wonderful person who just gave me my Sandstone Drake, which I wanted so badly. I'm going to see if after this, by the way, I can just throw out one extra tweet. Let more people get in here. When I do these spontaneous streams, there's always a little bit of a variance in how many people show up. But it does always make a pretty fun YouTube video, so I can always post it onto YouTube so that people can check those out later. I do post basically every one of my streams onto my YouTube channel, which is probably, I'm going to try to throw that into the description on here or something sometime later. So if you want to check out my past streams, you can always go to my YouTube. I think it's just actually right now just users/Zatic1. If you just search Zachary Storch on YouTube, you'll probably find my channel eventually. After you find all the King of the Nerds videos. Wow, so we killed those two at the same time. That was amusing. Usually you go for one of them first, but we kind of just killed them both at once. This boss is so easy when it's one person. Twitch.tv/Zachary Storch. Just throw out another tweet quickly there. Love the cleft hoofs. They look so scary. They're savage! Savage cleft hoofs in Old Draenor. I'm so used to playing Gladiator, I keep hitting my taunt keybind, which is the same keybind I use for my shield charge, and I keep hitting that one, trying to use shield charge to be a gap closer on some of these things. Now I'm like, wait, that doesn't work, that's only taunt. The new Gladiator spec for Warriors is, like, in my opinion, one of the coolest things that's ever been added to the game. Sword and Board DPS is, like, a really long time coming. And it's a really, really cool fantasy, I think, to run in there with your sword and your shield and just, like beat people and, you know, fight versus just trying to protect other people. It's really cool. Because obviously shields were as much as an offensive weapon as they were a defensive piece of equipment. If not more, frankly. That's why you put spikes on shields and stuff. And we've always had stuff like Shield Slam, but we've never had like a straight DPS spec with a shield, so it's really fun to finally have one of those. Besides, of course, the Shamans, but that's a little bit different. Because then they're using magic. And I love this one, the, good thinking, sir. That's what I do, Zogosh. I think good. I don't know how that actually translates in Orcish, but it sure is funny in English. I think Blizzard needs to redevote themselves to 5-mans, though, more than they do. Because I think 5-man content is really valuable to the game, and for the past 2 expansions, they basically just left it where it was after putting it into the game once. They didn't really update the 5-mans. They didn't really give us new 5-mans, like what they did in Cataclysm or Wrath, where we got endgame 5-mans. They felt so much fun. So I think that's something they have to start doing again. Because it's kind of content, certainly, that if I just have a little bit of time to jump into a game and play, I love the 5-man content. Even if you're not really getting that much out of it, a challenging 5-man just feels really fun. Am I getting heals? There we go. So we're about to fight the Saberon, which is probably the least interesting and least challenging 5-man fight in the game. It's up there. It's basically just a don't stand in the path of his really telegraphed attack, and then, like, fight the ads that come out. It's really, really basic. He just one-shots all those people. Oh, I'm sorry. I just noticed that my chat apparently isn't working. Then I checked my other window and now it popped up. So now I can see chat. I'll have to... You know, as long as I'm fighting what is by far the easiest boss in the game, what I'll do is I'll just check out chat right now. So let's see here. I'll just open up my other window. My friend flirted with a guy online, and some guy gave her the Sandstone Drake, Sky Golem, and Jewel Panther mount. I was like, what? See, sometimes you just gotta make friends with the right people, even if you're not flirting with them. This guy, the guy who gave me my Sandstone Drake, he was like a ex-military guy. He was an air in the you know, Air Force. So I guess he didn't really care about World of Warcraft money as much as other people do. Oh, sure, has been defeated. Get into my mount here. Let's see what else. Hey Z, how are ya? Says MMPR Forever. I'm feeling great. How are you doing? You march into my docks, and so breezily step foot on my ship. Nothing will stop the Iron Horde. Least of all you. Enjoy your death, weaklings! Zogosh! Man the machine turret! Aye aye, sir! I do love the voice actors in this game. They got so into it. Just so into it. I think, this guy's not lasting very long. We bursted him pretty hard. Wow. I don't think the video is actually crashing, MMPR Forever. I said this before, but I stream on a pretty high quality level so that I can easily translate these into YouTube videos. So if you have a slow internet, it likely will freeze. If you're noticing something that isn't just, you know, buffering kind of system, then that's a problem on my end. But I don't think I'm actually having any of those right now, because I am checking the stream on my end as well. But I stream basically at a maximum quality possible, so I can just easily turn these into a YouTube video. Though I am back to using a different streaming software yet again, so if there are being excessive problems and people are noticing that, that is something that people haven't said when I was using the other streaming software, so I may investigate that as well and see if I can continue to stream at as high level as I am, but using different software, and see if I can get it, optimize it for all of you guys watching. So I definitely will be looking into that in the future as well. Oh, here we go. At least there's some kind of a LFR thing. It's kind of a lame one. It's just Arcane Sanctum, but something. Wow, we pulled right away, huh? Gonna need to get buffs though. I don't think I have all my buffs yet. And yet I'm still topping the DPS charts. Lovely. I completely love Gladiator. I think it's just by far the most interesting DPS spec ever made. It's up there. Which is why I'm really upset it's frankly not the most powerful. I think it should be the most powerful for Warriors, because it's by far the most difficult DPS spec. That's a Warrior spec. So I don't understand why they're wanting the other ones to be stronger, just like because it's tradition or something. That's how Warriors fight. But it's actually probably more traditional that Warriors fight with a sword and shield, because back in vanilla, that's like basically all we were good at was sword and board combat, and that was like, you know, tanking roles. That was it. Again, MMPR forever. If you're freezing, it's likely on your end. I just double checked again, and I'm not seeing any difficulties. So I think if you're freezing, it has to do with bandwidth on your network, or just your network speed. Because again, I do broadcast on high definition, and that's just to create as high quality a YouTube video as possible. But as I was saying before, I was trying to check the other one, so. Patty Rick saying that 25 mans can be really slow, and that definitely does happen. One of the other things that you might note sometimes, I don't know how many add-ons you use, but a lot of add-ons do not work well in highly active environments. So like, for example, even if you got a really computer, mine doesn't typically ever have any problems, but even if you got a pretty moderately good computer, if you're running something like Recount in a 25-man, you'll likely find that it's going to slow down a lot. And that's more because your computer is doing a lot of math than it's actually processing any graphics. So sometimes speed issues when it comes to raiding World of Warcraft can be because of your recount. So I would also recommend, if you're having issues, especially when there's a lot more people, even if it's not the actual graphics quality is increasing. Which mine's on Ultra right now, right? Yeah, mine's on Ultra. Mine's on Ultra and streaming, and I'm still around 40, 45 frames per second. I love my new computer. I recently got another new computer, which was just a huge, huge, huge upgrade, and I've been loving having this thing. Because I have absolutely no slowdown, like, ever, no matter what the raid size is, which is just fantastic. Being able to stream on Ultra is actually kind of cool. That was definitely not something I was able to do on my old computer. Wow, that sheep did not last long. Someone tried to sheep the High Mall conscript over here, and it's just like instantly broken by everyone's AoE. Basically just healed it. Oh, Patrick says, yeah, I don't use Recount because of that. Well, I mainly use UI add-ons. I use Domino UI, and it makes me happy. I've never actually changed the Blizzard default UI. That's one of the only kind of add-ons that I don't use typically, are UI add-ons. I guess it's that I have so many things keybound anyway that I very, very rarely end up interacting with my UI at all. Besides just to briefly look at it. I use power auras though, and I still use power auras, or I guess am I still using the power auras, or am I? Oh yeah, I'm using weak auras now, but I've configured it to look exactly like how old school power auras used to look. Because then power auras stopped being supported by the developer who was making it, and then weak auras is sort of a more powerful version of power auras, despite its name, which is sort of amusing. The weak auras is better than power auras. So I love that one, because that can keep track of like what buffs you have on you in a better way than the default UI has up just in the upper right-hand corner for your buffs and whatnot. But it actually always rated with Blizzard default UI. I've always thought it just works well. It's pretty understated, but I kind of like that. Okay, here we go. This is starting off pretty bad because my cooldowns were not up at the proper time, so everything is going to be off synergy for the whole fight. So my DPS will be terrible, but that's okay. This is LFR. We will kill the content. I actually really like this fight on the higher difficulties, though. It's really, really difficult because of the stupid fire. Which I think the fire is among the hardest thing that they've ever put in the game to dodge, is the fire on this fight. Because it doesn't seem to move with a really predictable pattern whatsoever. And it's kind of random and different every single time. So I actually think it's probably the most difficult thing that they've actually done in terms of dodging the fire. Because on this fight, it's not a don't stand in the fire. It's try to run away from the fire as it tries to like basically home in on you as it randomly moves around the arena. It's just crazy. It's just crazy. I never know. I usually can dodge it, but I never know like how to dodge it, if that makes sense. I can dodge it, but I still don't know what the heck I'm doing to dodge it. Patty Rick says, I don't really use key bindings. I just prefer to click around. Call me old school. My friends hate that I don't use key bindings. You know, I have a video on my channel about key bindings and the merits of key bindings and why I believe that just there really isn't a reason not to do it. But you know what? This is LFR. I'm just gonna like shield barrier that. There we go. 19k damage. that was amazing. Anyway, I had a video on my YouTube that actually talks about key bindings and why I think there's basically no reason not to use them. I feel pretty strongly that they are an enhancement to your gameplay, but at the same time, back honestly like in my prime, back in Cataclysm when I was most serious about raiding, one of my best friends, who was also kind of my rival always, we were always the ones that were tit for tat on DPS and would go just back and forth. And it would be one of us who would be topping the charts at all times. Usually he'd be better at AoE, I'd be better at single target. But he was Death Knight, and he clicked completely 100%. He didn't have a single keybind, and he's one of the best people I've ever raided with. Nowadays he uses keybinds, and he has gotten better from it. But you don't need keybinds necessarily in World of Warcraft if you're able to pull it off, and I do believe that. And there are people who can pull it off. But it did manage to improve his game, and now he said that he would never go back to not using keybinds. Naruto ain't got nothing on you too, says MMPR Forever. I'm dead serious. Thank you. It's a nerdy kind of compliment, and I approve. Okay, these are almost gone. Once we get past into the execute phase on this fight, these guys' HP usually just drops because you can cleave and execute. So for a lot of fights that just get a straight damage increase under 25% or whatever, they are able to do like really, really insane execute phase damage on this fight. Just gotta like jump over the fire. What the heck? Why not? It's LFR. It's not like the fire does anything. It's 2,680 damage every second versus like the like 12,000 or whatever on actual difficulties. You can basically stand in it on LFR. But I still think this is probably when this came out, this was like the hard fight on LFR. Like how what's his name? I can't remember his name. Chromog, there we go. How Chromog is like the really hard fight on LFR right now for everyone, because people can't comprehend the whole like, no. So you get into the hand and then you break the hand after the Quake ability, but not during, and then everyone breaks their own hand and they're like, oh no, that person is stuck in the hand. I shall attack it because it has a health bar. And then that person gets out of the hand, then they die to the AoE. That fight is a mess on LFR. I've sat in there for a long time trying to clear it. One time I got to like 4 or 5 stacks of determination from people who just couldn't comprehend the mechanics. It was so frustrating. There we go. Look, augment runes. And we are done. Patty Rick asks, this is a good question, I like this. Patty Rick asks, I know on Khotin you led your team on the LARP challenge, so my question is, do you RP at all in WoW? I have done RP before in WoW. I have leveled, one time actually, the one Alliance character that I had, because I decided to make an Alliance character once, because I wanted to see that side of the game content, and like there's an entire half of the content I've never experienced. I was kind of in a rut, and I was feeling a little bit bored. So I was like, let's do something completely different. So I leveled a Paladin, which is the class I had never played before. A human Paladin on an RP server, and I RP'd through the whole thing, and it was a lot of fun. And so yes, I do some RP. In my guilds, I've sometimes been known as the really annoying person who's trying to RP on some of the fights, which is really funny. Even just like my battle shouts, I'll use one of these. I have the Power of the Horde macro. Do you know it's the level 70 Elite Torrent Chieftain song? I have that macroed into just some macros so I can shout them out. Let me see. Here we go. Like that. I have those macroed, and sometimes I would get accused of RPing too much by my various friends, but it has never stopped me. You know, that's not really RP, but I do enjoy RP in World of Warcraft, actually. I think it's a pretty fun medium. It's a really fun way to play the game in a lot of ways, because you can kind of do content and do the Dungeons and Dragons style of thing, of enjoying content in really unique and different ways. So I actually like RPing in World of Warcraft when I have people to do it with. Yeah, the calling out your attacks thing always is fun. Looking at that in chat, we have MMPR forever calling out attack names and stuff. That's always an amusing TV trope kind of styled thing. Find that a lot. Woo! So while I'm fighting this trash, I also want to say that, in case you haven't heard, I've got a new novel out. It's called Zanar Impossibility. And if you want to learn more about it, you can go right to voidsaga.com. That's voidsaga.com, and that's my it'll be my author website for future novels as well. But right now it's basically just Zanar Impossibility. Zanar Impossibility, it's a young adult sci-fi fantasy adventure story starring Clyde Vance and Saul Aegis. And Clyde is an Earthling studying in college, and then Saul is an accomplished magi from the planetary system of Zanar. And she meets Clyde while she's on an assignment to Earth to do a little bit of research. Because the people of this other planetary system, light years away, they still know about Earth. And she's doing a little bit of research when she meets Clyde. And they get pulled up into this huge magical adventure with lots of world building and a ton of action scenes. I'm really, I'm playing World of Warcraft right now. Something I get really inspired by is big fantasy kind of combat, and I read a lot of books and I didn't find a lot of the level of combat that was in video games in books. It felt like it was like maybe using one spell. Like there's that fun scene like in Aragon where Aragon is like there's an orc or something in the town and he's like, okay, Brissinger, and then he uses a single fire spell and then the orc dies and he accidentally blows himself up, and it's like, okay, that's nifty, but like where's the rest of it? So I wrote Xenar Impossibility with like a lot of action scenes, just tons of them, and a real focus on character development at the same time, because I didn't want to sacrifice any of the, literary sort of appeal of the book for the sake of action. And so far it's gotten really, really good reviews, so please, if you're interested, check it out. It means a lot to me. I'm obviously, trying to get my book out there as much as possible, and if you're interested, please check it out. Again, Xenar Impossibility, it's available Kobo, iTunes, Barnes & Nobles, and I'm forgetting one. Oh yeah, Amazon. You can also get paper copies if you go to heromart.com, and again, you can find all that information on voidsaga.com. Alright, so we got Korag pulled here. Let's see how many people stand in the Caustic Energy. Looks like all of the melee just stood in the Caustic Energy. That's amusing. So on this fight, what happens is Caustic Energy flows onto people, and this Caustic Energy makes you a target, basically, for obtaining an Absorption Shield, and the Absorption Shield effect is then used to stand in little swirls that appear on the ground and absorb these big, like, raid-wide damage strikes. And if you hit them, then and you won't take any damage because you have the Absorption Shield, and then the rest of the raid doesn't take damage either. But on higher difficulties, how it works is that you can only get so many of these Absorption Shields, so you have to kind of say, okay, you're going to go in and you're going to soak up the damage, and then other people aren't. In LFR, it just kind of ends up being ridiculous because the damage isn't very high. So people who can soak do soak, and it helps. Other people just kind of do whatever. Oh, I just did the silly thing. Okay, I have so much built up muscle memory from older raids and older expansions. What you used to be able to do, there were times when it was valuable to run out of melee range or heroic leap out of melee range and then charge back in immediately because you would get the rage for charging. But they changed charge that you don't get extra rage during a fight if you've already gotten rage off of that target or something, and it's so annoying. It was a huge nerf to warriors that they never really accounted for. It was always one of those things that you could do to like up your game. And I think the reason they changed it was because for a while with the new arms rotation, it became like it was always a damage increase to run out of melee range. And then it was always a damage increase to run out of melee range and then try to charge back in. And that was part of the rotation. It was rotational use charge by running out and then charging back in. But it was one of those things that made the class really fun, I always thought. So it's weird that they got rid of it, and I miss it still. But I'm just reminiscing about the old days, quote-unquote. Oops, I got Caustic Energy. I'll actually soak, though, because that's more fun. There I was, talking, reminiscing about the old days, and then I messed up the encounter. This isn't even, like falling down yet, though. What am I doing? It's not even going to be here. I can run back and get it later. That's the glory of heroic leap. I'll just watch for that one, and then I'll heroic leap into it. Here we go. Heroic leap, go! Yay! See, and then you absorb the effect, and then it doesn't go on the raid. Because then it hits the raid for like a ton of damage, versus hitting the person in it for nothing if they have an absorption shield. Really? Is he gonna die of damage over time? There we go. Good. He died of damage over time. The Black Forge! This is new content! Actually, new interesting content. Let's do this. Okay. Okay, here we are in the Black Forge. Get some actually newer content in here to raid on. Slightly less easy to just sleep through for me at this point. I'm gonna go ahead and throw out another tweet as well. TV/Zachary Storch. And now let's actually get back to the fight. Actually help DPS this content. Do we actually have some people with pet taunts? Oh, LFR, you're hilarious. Gotta love when pet taunts are being a problem. Also, I think that safeguard right here, this is like one of my favorite abilities ever, and I know that a lot of people use vigilance, I mean. But misspoke there, yeah. I know a lot of people use Vigilance. I really like Safeguard because Safeguard lets you use it significantly more frequently. It lets you cover for mistakes if you're running with people you're not confident about, which is really, really nice on something like LFR. Because if a tank stands in something or does something wrong, I can just throw my Safeguard ability up. It gives them 6 seconds of 20% less damage taken, and it's basically enough time no matter what for the healers to save them. I've saved a lot of wipes using that ability. Are tanks not coming back to help with this? Tanks are coming back to help with this. Well, that's lovely. How nice of them. See, someone else pulled these, so I figured I'd go ahead and you know, start DPSing them because I assumed the tanks were going to fight them after someone else pulled. But instead we don't have any tanks, so I'm just fighting them. At least the healers stayed behind with me. That's nice. Crowdsourced tanking going on here. My FPS just dropped a little about that too. On this raid, I might need to actually lower my graphics settings slightly. How long is this streaming going to last? I don't know. I started, I suppose, not too long ago, so I'll probably go for another while. I'll at least certainly be finishing this LFR, and then I might switch gears and do something else potentially as well. Yeah, we're going to go ahead and we're going to slightly drop my graphics setting just so we can ensure that the stream is working correctly and that my FPS stays at a playable level. Because I don't want it to start recording at a kind of stuttery level. It should be fine. There. FPS is dramatically higher now. This is better. I don't even think that this elevator can actually kill you, because there's always like the elevator boss in World of Warcraft where if you fall you end up, like, dying all the time. But on this one, I think you're allowed to just jump down no matter what. Oh, PattyRick15 says, I'm going to tweet out your Twitch. Thank you. I appreciate that. Tell your friends. Let them know. And yeah, I know this was a pretty abrupt stream, so viewer count ended up being lower than it could be. We're also streaming at, like, 3, just kind of an awkward time. In the future, I'll probably announce streams, and I try my best to do that, usually right on Twitter. But it's something I'd like to start doing a better job of, either developing a good streaming schedule, or just announcing when I'm going to stream, potentially even like a day in advance. Because it's something I enjoy doing a lot, and it's always a good way to make a YouTube video, even if viewer count ends up being particularly low. But thank you guys all so much for being here and watching, because it means a lot to me that you are. So seriously, thank you a lot. Let's do this. It's a really fun dungeon, fun boss, this one. It's like the Arnold Schwarzenegger boss. We will pump up the forges! Sounded more like vampire, though, just now than Arnold Schwarzenegger. I can't really do accents very well. Ah, there's fire! There's fire everywhere! Too much fire! Oh, weird. I was trying to reload something on my stream and it wasn't working. Trash. Sleepy, sleepy, easy trash. Sometimes I wonder why there's still actually trash in raids. I think raids might be better sometimes if they were just bosses. I know there's kind of been raids like that that were mostly bosses. Did I just... So, while I was trying to adjust something, I was apparently about a yard too far back while I was trying to adjust my stream to see if things were working still. So, we are officially outside of this boss fight, which sucks. Oops. So I guess we're just gonna stand here. I just got locked out, so I can't actually do anything. Oh, I hit the boss though! Okay, I just succeeded at hitting the boss. So what this means is that if we successfully kill it, I do at least get kill credit. Despite my really dumb mistake here. I'm gonna just go ahead, I guess we'll set up camp. We'll throw down a disco ball or something and dance. Let's see, what else can I do? What other toys can I use while in combat? He'll be back! But we can't see him, so it doesn't really matter. Oh, I'm dead! Never mind. So, this will be a very thrilling stream for the next however long it takes everyone to kill this boss. This is slightly disappointing. I apologize for this moment of patheticness. But we're good! I'm not gonna tweet this because it's too good. Oops. I just got stuck outside the boss fight while trying to adjust a stream setting. Come talk with me and make me feel better. Twitch.tv/Zachary Storch. Oh wait, that's way too... That was way too long. I will just say, come make me feel better. Come make me feel better? There we go. That's a amusing tweet. Okay. Meanwhile, we're just gonna sit here dead for a little while. This is thrilling. Got some questions. If you got questions for me, please ask those as long as I'm sitting here dead. Let's see. Pyric asks, so we know you like to play a large amount of WoW. Do you play any other games? Any console gaming? Other games I really enjoy include... Currently, the games I'm most hardcore about are World of Warcraft and Super Smash Bros. I'm getting really into Super Smash Bros. On the Wii U especially, but also on the 3DS because I love that game. Main right now is Sonic, but I'm also playing Bowser Jr. quite a bit. Those are basically the two characters I'm enjoying the most. Actually, Iggy, and not just Bowser Jr., but Iggy. Because I don't know why, I just like Iggy. I think he's funny. He's kind of crazy, and he laughs really manically, and he's a great character. Other games I'm playing recently. I just got a new 3DS, so now I'm playing Majora's Mask on my new 3DS, and that's really fun because I haven't played that game since it was an actual current game on the N64. So that's been quite a while since I've played that game. And I think even though Majora's Mask tends to be like second gear always to Ocarina of Time, it's still a really, really good game. I don't think it gets the credit it necessarily deserves. And I'm obviously a huge Zelda fan. I'm actually wearing a Zelda shirt right now. This is from Loot Crate, who are totally awesome. You should totally get Loot Crate. Loot Crate has helped sponsor King of the Nerds parties in the past, so they are really awesome people. You should definitely check them out. They're a really cool subscription box service, and I think they actually do a really good job. Oh, I love Peach too. Peach is one of my favorite Smash characters. We just had a shout out for a favorite Smash character. Yes, Peach is awesome. Peach was one of my Melee mains. In Melee, the characters I played the most were Ice Climbers, Peach, and then Kirby, because I was stubborn enough to try to main Kirby in Melee. Because even though he's like gone down in history as basically the worst Super Smash Bros. Character ever, which was Melee Kirby, he's just the worst. He has no redeeming qualities at all. He's so fun. I love Kirby so much, so I still tried to play him. Smash 4, he's actually really decent, but only with customs on. With customs on, he's actually like a kind of like a upper middle tier character, so he's actually like playable. Let's see. Is there anything on Twitter I can talk about? As long as I'm just sitting here. Oh, good. We know we won. We won. Yay! Now I can walk back. Okay, for this next fight, guys, I'm going to be super careful not to get stuck outside the battle, so you actually have something interesting to watch. And I apologize about that. That was quite silly. Quite silly indeed. We're just going to be walking back now to this next boss. Hopefully we'll make it in time before they pull it or something, and then we'll miss 2 bosses. Come on, elevator, go! Silly elevators. Okay, let's go. We're moving now. We're back on track. I'll try to send out another tweet to be like, don't worry guys, we're back on track now. But I'm going to do it very, very strategically so that we don't have any problems. Oh, can I sneak by these? I'm kind of nervous about trying to sneak by these. Oh, that didn't work! I didn't sneak by them! Run! Run to the safety of the raid group! Protect me! Is someone protecting me? Oh good, I think someone's protecting me. I have been saved! The raid is saving me once more. Thank you, raid! I knew you'd come save me. Okay. Let's get some actual combat in now. After sitting there doing nothing for that entire fight, I'm just itching for an actual battle. I need to ask for rebuffs, though, from the raid. Rebuff when you can, please. I think I'm having a little bit of lag too, which is weird. And I've like never had lag in ages in World of Warcraft. Probably because I'm streaming, but that's okay. So now I'm back to using OBS streaming software, when previously I was using XSplit because my OBS stopped working, but I think that XSplit actually worked better. So what I have to do now is I have to refine the issues I was having with XSplit, make it actually work off the right graphics card, and then I might want to go back to using the free version of XSplit because it seems to actually work better. I was having less people reporting buffering issues as well when I was streaming with XSplit, but it was still giving me the same quality of stream. So I'm going to try to experiment around and see if I can optimize the stream for you guys. But we'll do that later. Woo! Big Dragon's Roar. I love Dragon Roar. It's just like the big Fusro Da! I love that Dragon Roar actually happened like right when Skyrim was big too. They were like, what can we give to warriors? I know, let's give them Skyrim powers. That'd be cool. They can be Dragonborn. Here we are, almost to the next battle now. Round them all up there. Get a good thunderclap on them. Deep Wounds is so ridiculously overpowered. I love it so much whenever I'm playing Gladiator. So what actually happened for me is that my crit rating is currently too low, and it's doing weird things. I'm getting really bad luck with itemization. So Fury is actually a slight decrease in item level, but I'm not, or in actual DPS I mean, but I'm not minding that because I actually really prefer playing Gladiator by quite a bit because it's a more compelling spec right now. Mista Pandaria Fury to me was like the coolest spec that's ever been in any video game, but Gladiator's doing a good job at giving me that same sort of enjoyment. Although I do really miss what they did with Mista Pandaria Fury. I thought it was a really, really well-designed specialization, and I think it was probably a bad idea that they changed it. I think they made it, I disagree with the design decisions that were done. Obviously, the guys at Blizzard do a great job, and I'm sure that if there's more problems down the road, they'll be updating the specs in the future. I typically have faith in Blizzard, is how it works. And besides, as I said in the World of Warcraft Looking for Group documentary when I was in that for the 10th anniversary, being a warrior is about fighting with everything that you have. I really believe that. It's not about what abilities we have or rotations. No. Being a warrior is a way of life. And I choose to live it. So this is a really awkward position I'm in. I'm standing like in between these two pillars of fire, or two lanes of fire. It kind of ended up being the right position because the tanks are giving the back to it. Pro tips to tanks, by the way, if you're trying to like be a good tank, part of it is being aware of where DPS need to stand and then moving the boss so that DPS can stand in where they need to be. Too few tanks do that. It's something I'm always super cautious about when I'm tanking, is making sure that melee DPS have a position to be standing in. Wow. And on LFR, no one attacks the two wolves at the same time. These are the two little wolf enemies. They're linked by a chain, and they have to die within very close to the same time. So if you don't DPS them evenly, they go down unevenly, and then bad things happen. And on LFR, it's not too big of a deal but on other difficulties, it's actually a big deal, and you have to actually DPS them down evenly. Firestorm! Go ahead and throw an absorption shield on myself for the heck of it. Make it easier on the healers. Moments where, because I feel like actually in current raiding, I feel like there's moments where you can go ahead and make use of survivability in a way that you couldn't before, because a lot of the times your survivability is way more important than your DPS, and I think it's okay that they've gone in that direction. It certainly gives times, and it gives appreciation to people who are not only doing good DPS, but they're taking less damage. So occasionally throwing that damage absorption shield on yourself, even if it reduces your overall health, if it's going to help the healers, then they can heal the tank better. Overall, it's better for the raid. Which is why I just used one of them there, because I needed it, and the healer wasn't healing me enough. So now I'm lower on the DPS charts, but I helped survive, so overall that's still better for the raid. Oh, Cinderwolf's coming on again. I think everyone's just going to sit on her, though, and just attack the boss, because we kind of can, because it's LFR. So I'm just going to do that, too. Whee! Attacking the boss, because it's LFR easy mode. Oh, yeah, the next one's Kormog, or whatever, right? That's the one I was saying that's so difficult for a lot of people in LFR to understand. So this will be interesting. I've had this fight go to all the way to 5 stacks of determination, which means 5 wipes on it before. So we'll see what happens. It'll be fun. Well, thank you for coming, Patty Rick. I'm glad that you could join me. If you want to check out the rest of the stream, this will all be posted onto YouTube shortly after the stream concludes. So, if you missed it, or you think you want to share it with someone, please go ahead and do so, and check out the rest of it. And thank you for coming. And we've apparently just pulled everything, to the point that I'm doing 55k DPS. What the heck? Ah! All of the DPS! This is madness. This is madness, I'm telling you. We have someone doing 100k DPS right now. That's ridiculous. That AoE. What seems to be really uneven in World of Warcraft is the AoE damage that classes can do. They've never tried to keep those things even. It's just some classes are really good at AoE and some classes are not. And it's not always the same ones that are good at single target either, which I think is strange. It's one of the things I think that class balance teams need to take a look at. But I'm also not running Bladestorm, which is of course the better AoE talent. If I was running Bladestorm, I probably would have been by far top DPS on that poll, because Bladestorm is just an incredible DPS talent. For Gladiator, I think it's generally a little bit worse, I think. But, yeah. Okay. Feast down. We've got wonderful Kromog here. This is always a fun fight. Fun comes in quotation marks. By fun, I mean that this fight can go a million ways and usually results in a lot of death and frustration. So we'll see. In case you're not in the know and you're watching, or if you don't play World of Warcraft, the big mechanic on this fight is... Sorry if I can just get to it. These runes of grasping earth appear on the ground. And, oh, actually I don't really have time to discuss it. I'll show you! Here we go. Basically, runes of grasping earth appear on the ground. You need to stand in the runes of grasping earth. What happens when you do is a giant, like, stone hand comes up and it grabs you and it holds you, and it deals damage to you slowly over time, but not very much damage. So what happens is he uses a giant, scary AoE attack that blasts the entire raid for incredible amounts of damage that will kill you if you're not in one of these hands, because the hands give you immunity to that crazy attack. So you have to get yourself grabbed by the big hand so that you can avoid the big attack, and then you break yourself out of the hand by attacking it, and the fight continues. And that's probably the biggest mechanic on this fight, is just getting yourself grabbed by one of these hands. There's also the other hands that come together and they like close on people and whatnot, so you have to be careful of those. And then these shockwaves that come out as well, and if you get hit by the shockwaves, you just take damage. Pretty traditional stuff. Someone else took that hand. I need to stand in one. Am I getting grabbed by this? No, I did not get grabbed by that one. Did I? Okay, I did. Good. So we already have people trying to attack them, which is really a shame. I wish people would not attack my hand. Stop attacking it. There we go. Okay, now you break out of the hand after the AoE, and the fight continues. And then it's just rinse and repeat. And my DPS is really low because I did not expect when we were pulling at all. And also, did everyone else seriously... Yeah, this guy, that was why all the hands were going down. One of these hunters was just like free DPSing the hands. That's really bad. That's why a bunch of people are dead, is because the hunter attacked the hands. You're not supposed to do that. You should be careful. Here we go. See if we can get to the next phase. What's also nice about that phase, though, is ranged people get to keep DPSing. So some DPS continues on the boss, but if you're melee, you're not allowed to keep DPSing, which is kind of lame. I really think they should have done the thing that they were considering for a while, which is just make melee DPS superior to ranged DPS, and then make it so it's just that there are times in battles where you don't get to keep attacking if you're melee. Which I thought was the better way to balance it. I guess what they've tried to do now is just dramatically reduce mobility for ranged classes so that they can't move around, and that melee can move around a lot, but that they're not able to DPS the boss sometimes, but they have better uptime on their abilities. So, interesting balance, I suppose. Break out of my hand here. Help people out. Other people get out of the hands now. Like this hunter who's just still attacking things, the druid. That was funny. Unless he was a healer. Maybe he was a healer. Couldn't notice. Landslide! Dodge the rippling smash and the shockwaves. Heal myself up there. That's good. Because the healers don't seem to be paying attention to all the DPS over here. We're in the right place. You're supposed to spread pretty large on this fight. Have to stand away from the tanks. We're about to have a tank die, though. Unless that gets healed back up. Okay. Tank is healed back up. We have our Arthas, the Death Knight, who's not doing too well, though. If we don't have a tank die, then we'll get this. But I think we might actually be able to one-shot this fight, which would be pretty cool. Typically, this fight does not end up being a one shot because people in LFR have a lot of difficulty with it. Now I'm too far away to be able to DPS the boss. Or am I? No, I'm still hitting him. Okay, good. Got my heroic throw I can use. And break out of my hand. Break that guy out of his hand. Charge in here and get executes going. That tank is going to die. Okay, good. He got the perdition thing. Oh no, that tank's going to die. These tanks are not holding in there well. I feel like I need to run over there and get one of those safeguards up on them that would help. But I'd probably die in the process, and I think I should probably just keep DPSing. Because it's going to be close if one of the tank dies. It'll be a just DPS race. Depending on what happens if tanks die on this fight, sometimes you'll die in the grasping hand phase. And if that's the case, you can usually actually still kill the boss. You just kill him from the grasping hands. And either damage over time effects or range DPS are able then to continue the fight. But I think we've managed to get him. Which is that this is actually the first time on LFR I've successfully killed this boss in one go. Usually it takes a ton of tries. Oh, cool, and I got a drop too. This is definitely an upgrade for Gladiator. I am certain of it. I'll have to go ahead and sim it out just to double check because I don't know how the proc works if it has weird times. Oh, my inventory is full. That's not good. Well, I obviously want this item. Let's go ahead and get rid of these mangy pelts then. There we go. And I will go ahead and throw down a Jeeves or something later. Once I teleport over. Kurt J. Mack says, "Hey Zach, big fan of you on Koten. Thank you. I really appreciate every single one of my fans. You guys, you really means a lot to me to hear that, and thank you so much for saying that. And thank you for coming here to watch this stream as well." So we are doing the Iron Assembly now. I think that's the, is that just the first, which bosses even is the Iron Assembly? I don't even remember what they call things on LFR. Oh yeah, this is the new group of things. Okay, so this is the newest group of things. This will be fun. Cool. This will be very fun. Okay. Have I actually even had time to do this one yet? I might not have. Which means if we're going into the Iron Assembly here... Oh yeah, it's these two. It's these two guys. Okay, cool. That'll work. Welcome back, MMPR Forever. Gonna throw down that Jeeves now and see if I can bank anything in my inventory. Make myself have some inventory room, see if I can sell anything, repair, etc., etc. Get some room back. That can be sold. I can open this. Okay, we're good to go. And let's get in there and help fight now. And it's the same trash to open it up. Because this is an open-ended raid, which means you can approach it from multiple angles. Which also means that the first couple minutes of it in LFR always feels the exact same. Okay, it's the Ogun Holler again. Or Ogron, rather. Yeah. It's always the same starting out. It's kind of annoying. It's just the same thing again and again. Fighting those monsters more. If you have any questions for me as well, please feel free to ask them. I do have my chat open right here. I'm looking at it on my phone, so I can see everything that you guys type, which is fun, because one of the reasons I always like to stream is I get to interact with fans and people who have time to check out the streams. It's always a lot of fun for me to do that, so please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask. You can always also shoot me questions over on my Twitter, which is just at Zadok3 on Twitter. I know that currently I only announced this on Twitter, so you probably saw my post on Twitter, so you probably know my Twitter, but if you're watching this on YouTube, I would appreciate your follow. More monsters to fight! Just jump right in there. Like how everything's frozen. It's great. Interrupt the cauterize. They don't get to heal. No cauterizing for you. Interrupt all of your stuff again with a dragon roar. Okay, these things are going down. Let's interrupt the rain of slag, because no one else is. What's up with that? Now I have the DPS on this boss, on this enemy, but at least I interrupted the bad thing. Why are we missing a tank? I think we're missing a tank. It's not good. I have rude interruption glyphed as well, so I get the nice 6%, I think it's 6%. Yeah, 6% damage increase whenever I interrupt an ability for a whole 20 seconds, which is actually huge. So that's a really valuable talent for warriors, or glyph for warriors, I always think. It used to be a talent, that's why I said talent, because way back in the day, when we still had the old talent system, rude interruption was a talent. What kind of monster is that? What an ugly little bastard. Yeah, there's some weird monsters in these new raids, I think. The Orgrons, they're really weird little creatures. Or giant creatures, rather. Omnibrotent. That's an amusing name. Two target cleave DPS is what Gladiator excels at. By far top DPS on these little poles, because that's what Gladiator is able to do. Oh, and we're right into the next fight. Iron Hoofs. I love these guys, if I zoom in on this a little bit if I can. I always think that the art on Iron Hooves and Cleft Hooves are really cool. I guess that Iron Hooves are Cleft Hooves that have been, like, influenced by the Iron Horde. Now I'm going to zoom out so I can see what I'm doing and stop standing in bad things like a noob. Nope, it didn't help. I still stood in something. Oops. Shh! It didn't happen! Interrupt that ability. So I'm thinking that, after this LFR, I may go ahead and call a stream, because then I will have been streaming for a while here. Actually, when did I start streaming? I'm trying to check now. Well, I started streaming like at let's see here. Oh, 2:30. So yeah, I think after this LFR, I'm going to go ahead and call the stream. But thank you to everyone that's been here for the whole time. And there's still a couple more awesome things to come, because we're going to fight these last few bosses. And I'm definitely going to try to stream more in the future. I'll also try to actually give people more of a heads up when I am streaming. Tends to improve performance. If you're interested in checking out some of my other content, you can see it right here on my YouTube channel. Right here, if you're watching this in the future, that is on my YouTube channel. Ooh, timey-wimey magic going on there. It's Beast Lord Darmok! Let's go! Need another tank? Yeah, we probably need 2 tanks. Everyone being like, do we need another tank? And the answer is yeah, we need another tank. You definitely need another tank, guys. In the meantime, let's put down another disco ball. And everyone in the raid can dance! And play soccer. I'm hitting this goblin with a soccer ball. It's like punching a goblin, only it's punching things at the goblin. I approve, it works well. This is just as amusing as punching the goblin. But I can kick it. Silly little goblins. Here we go. It's okay, goblin. I'll cheer at you and make you feel better. Ooh, feast down. I don't actually have the food buff, do I? Nomming, lots of food. Getting my buffs. The ready check. How exciting. It's like a monkey ball Goron. I like it. Okay. Just go ahead and attack the heavy spear. I'm assuming that's bad. I haven't actually done this fight before. But it kind of looks like it's exactly what I think it's going to be, which is just going to jump on different animals. He's going to get different abilities based on which animal he's on. Yeah, there we go. Grant Spiesler, Darmok, Furious Anger, allowing him to cast Tantrum. Yay, I'm right. Okay, so that's how this fight's going to work, is he's going to run around, he's going to jump onto different animals, and it'll give him different powers. And I'm assuming we should kill those spears ASAP as well. And there's the Tantrum ability. Looks like it's going to deal big raid damage to everyone. Yeah, there we go. Inflicts about 10,000 raid damage to everyone. So that's kind of a healer check. Healers need to be working hard on that to mitigate that damage. Also got some more ads over here. Let's try to get some of those down. Pack beasts. Okay. So on LFR, with the Tantrum balance to be relatively weak, this doesn't seem to be the most difficult one he can jump on. Let's see what he jumps on next. No, I will wield your strength. Oh! Now he has the ability to use Tantrum now that he's off of the elk. And his damage has increased. So as we beat the fight, it's going to get more and more difficult. He'll have more and more abilities. That's why he's saying, I will wield your strength. Okay, this is actually an interesting fight. This is cool. So he just jumps onto different animals and he'll get different powers. So now he can cast Rend and Tear, which lets him jump around like crazy like that. Okay. And then I assume that after we defeat this one, he'll be able to use Tantrum and Rip and Tear, in theory? Or will it just be one? We'll have to see. If he gets to use all of them, this fight could get pretty crazy. Aussie Bossy asks, Zach, who is your favorite in Season 3? The people who I enjoyed watching the most in Season 3, in no particular order, were probably Ori, Todd, and Colby. I thought they were all really, really interesting, fun characters to watch. I thought that Ori's sort of just incredible enthusiasm about life was really, really fun to see. And I resonated with that pretty well. Oh, and yeah, here we go. We have both these abilities, so he's going to get the other one as well, it looks like. Yeah, now he is both. Okay. But I really liked seeing Ori because he was as enthusiastic as I was to be there when I was there, and I was like, this is just the coolest place ever, and I was so happy, and I was smiling so big when I walked in. So I really, really identified with him a lot in that regard. Todd was just really fun to watch because he's such an incredibly confident person. That's just always a fun kind of personality to watch, and Colby kicked a lot of butt, so I enjoyed seeing that as well. I was hoping that Colby would, of course, completely just stay in there forever and just completely end the Secret Six. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to keep doing that. But he performed very admirably, and I think he should feel pretty proud. I thought it was cool that we got actually a biological science person as well, thanks to Ben. So I thought it was a good cast overall. I thought it was a very good cast. What does this guy actually drop? I should check this out. Probably shouldn't check it out now, but, you know, whatever. Okay, it drops less on that, so I shouldn't bonus roll is what this is telling me. Probably not. Yeah, okay, so I shouldn't actually bonus roll on this stuff. Again, in case you missed the news, and if you're a WoW player, all of the item level from this raid is about to be buffed by 5. And that's for every single difficulty raid finder included. So if you have gear that's like 5 item levels lower, or if it was a side upgrade and it was slightly lower DPS, hang on to it right now, because in a very soon hotfix, the gear is going to be increasing in power and it'll be more valuable, so you're going to want to hang on to that item. And if you did delete something, you can always use the item recovery tool to get that back. Aussie Bossy asked, did you ever explain gravity to MK? I have not explained it to MK, but I believe that she's done research post-show. I have also answered that comment now several times. I think you can check out basically any one of my 4chan hangouts and stuff. That's probably come up in there. So if you want to hear my thoughts on that, you can look at that as well. Now that I've answered it like 100 times. But anyway. Oh, cool! I got a Warforged. Oh, so what's going to happen to this item then in the next patch is this is going to go up another 5 item levels. So this will be 661. So this will be an upgrade over what I have quite dramatically. So I should definitely take this item. I'm losing haste to get mastery and multi-strike, so that's fantastic. So I'll definitely hang on to that, and this is going to be a huge upgrade in the next patch. So that'll be great. As I was saying there. Cool. Ballmaster asked, did you read Sega's book? Well, books. She has books. I haven't actually had time to read all of them. I've read parts of them. It is something I would like to do when I have more time, because she's really cool. And I really appreciate her. Obviously, on season 1, she was one of the people that I identified with the most in a lot of ways when I was watching season 1. I was a huge fan of the first season of that show. And seeing the way that she performed and also doing so well as a fantasy author was a huge part of the reason I was there. When I actually met her during season 2, I walked up to her and I was like I just said, I really have to shake your hand because I have to tell you, you're basically the reason that I'm here right now. Because it was, she's pretty awesome. You're fine, MMPR forever. I'm glad that you're enthusiastic about things and imaginative. It's good. Aussie Bossy asks, what is your favorite lore character in WoW except Sylvanas? I have a ton of favorite characters in WoW. If we're going to extend that to saying just no Forsaken at all, because most of my favorite characters are, of course, Forsaken. There's a lot of Forsaken I love. Other favorites definitely include... Well, I mean, this is almost the same thing. I do love Arthas. I admit that Arthas is a great character. Other completely non-related to the Scourge characters that I love, though. I think Thrall is a great character, and I will say the unpopular opinion that he deserves every single bit of screen time that he gets, because I think he's a great character. Deathwing is fantastic. And if you actually know some of the earlier lore about Deathwing, he's a really fun character. I think that all of the Dragonflights are really cool. Alexstrasza is fantastic. She's great. Her relationship with Deathwing and how that's kind of evolved over time is fascinating as well. Seeing those characters go at it, I really like it. Deathwing, of course, is just he's just so completely crazy and out of touch with reality. So I really love that character. I'm trying to think, who else do I really love? There's a lot of characters I love. You know, World of Warcraft is a game where, despite it being a MMO, they managed to have such a rich mythology, which is such a big appeal to the game for so many people. And definitely no exception for me. I like a lot of the characters. Even a lot of the Alliance characters, I admit, I have fantastic lore. If you look behind me on my shelf, I actually have a Malfurion Stormrage back there. My mom got me that when I was younger. I don't think she actually knew the distinctions between various factions and things like that, but I will admit that the Night Elves even have some pretty interesting lore going on, so it's a cool character to have, even though I don't play Alliance. There's a lot of really awesome characters, though, in this game. I think that World of Warcraft does such a good job with lore. And also just, like, lore of the world, like, itself. Like, how the magical systems work and things like that, I think are really fascinating. Because obviously magical systems is something I'm huge about. In my novel, Xenar and Possibility, which you can check out at voidsaga.com, the magical systems of Xenar is a definite focus of the book. It's definitely talked about in terms of, like, how magic actually works on, like, the detailed levels. And I kind of look at magic as being a scientific thing in Xenar and Possibility, which is something that I really love seeing in books and in fantasy worlds, like in World of Warcraft, where we do get more in-depth knowledge about how magic works, and, you know, the mages can actually explain their magic and stuff, and that's something that was very important for me in Xenar and Possibility, was creating a world where people actually knew how their magic worked. So, again, that's available in, like, every single major book retailer out there except Google, because I don't really agree with some of the practices that Google does when it comes to indie authors. But besides that, you can get it on Amazon, Kobo, Barnes & Nobles, and iTunes. You can get it on, like, everything. So, please check it out if you're interested. It's a big help to me if you want to get my book. And there will be more as well, as long as this one gets supported. So, please check it out. Okay, we are on Operator Thorgar. This is a fun little battle here. So that's a pulse grenade. It pulls you into things, I suppose. So we probably shouldn't stand in the pulse grenade like this guy's doing over here. And then I assume we have to dodge trains that come by on the tracks. Send her on down the line. Okay. Wow, here's the reinforcements. That's a lot of reinforcements. Okay. I'll just use a little thunderclap there. We get more trains coming by. Operator Thorgar is working hard. He's an engineer. Almighty engineer. Look at him go. He's all like, I have trains at my disposal. This is apparently what we're left with in World of Warcraft nowadays. After we've killed all the major characters, we get Operator Thorgar. But seriously, I really like how this raid works. The environment of the raid is so well integrated into the actual fights, where we have doors opening up and things coming through. It really doesn't feel like you're actually in a raid zone. It feels like you're just in this, like, living factory where there's work going on, and you're actually just, you know, raiding it and actually trying to fight it and like infiltrate it, which feels really cool. Versus raids like, no matter how much I love them, Dragon Soul, which just feels like a raid zone. It's an area designed to fight lots of bosses in. Could you fix the stream? It's a bit laggy. I've been checking on mine. I'm not having any lag issues. I'll be checking the recording course, because I've had a couple people say that. With the streaming software I'm using, because I changed my streaming software, so I'm worried if there's been an issue. However, I'm broadcasting at a very high HD level, so you may have lag if you're having a slower connection or if you're on a slow wireless connection. But I have had a couple of complaints about that, so I will be looking into it, and I will be seeing, because I didn't have those problems when I was using the other streaming software I was using, but it was having problems where it was straight up crashing. But I'll be looking into things in the future and trying to optimize things for people to get a good balance of a high-quality stream for people that have a high-quality internet connection, and then an accessible stream if you don't. You can probably also change the quality if you go into things. There should probably be a way on Twitch to change quality if you're having those issues, and it should help if you're having too much buffering. Oh, what was the most fun thing? Oh, I have a bunch of questions in here. Thank you for all of these. These are always so much fun to answer, Aussie Bossy, so I really, really appreciate when people ask questions. What was the most fun thing at Nerdvana? There was a lot of most fun things at Nerdvana. It was one of the most fun experiences of my life. But, I really, really loved the LARP challenge. That was something I enjoyed very greatly. I just got hit by a train. Oops. I loved the LARP challenge. That was something I really enjoyed. I thought I had a blast doing that, and it just felt great. I loved all the stuff that was available. I loved the fact that there was, like, infinite amounts of candy at disposal that I could have constantly. That was really fun. I ate a lot of lollipops and jelly beans while I was in Nerdvana. It was fun. And, I really liked a lot of the challenges. You know, even though I got voted into a lot of nerd-offs and that was stressful, they're also kind of the most fun thing about a show. Like at a big reality competition show, the nerd-offs are really fun. So I definitely enjoyed getting to do the nerd-offs, and some of those were incredibly awesome experiences that I'll remember forever. What was your favorite expansion? For me, TBC was the most fun. I think that leveling experience-wise, the two expansions that have had the coolest leveling experience have been the Burning Crusade and Warlords of Draenor. I think they both had great leveling experiences. They were fun. They felt dangerous, you know, and that's really what feels fun in a leveling experience to me, is feeling dangerous. And Burning Crusade did a great job of having a really dangerous world and a feeling to that, with really great lore behind it. And really cool enemies. So I think Burning Crusade was a great expansion. I think that overall, though, the one that I actually enjoyed the most, I know that this is an unpopular opinion to a lot of people, but I loved Cataclysm. I thought Cataclysm had great rating. I thought Cataclysm had great leveling. And I thought the game was also balanced in a good way in Cataclysm on a lot of levels. Where they even decided to do the thing where they had the buff towards the end of it, where they changed power... the might, so it actually increased attack power more for melee classes than ranged classes. And that, again, as I was saying earlier in the stream, that's a design philosophy that I really agree with. I think that melee classes should be more powerful than ranged classes because we're on the boss less of the time. And that there should be a reward for when you're able to keep your uptime well, you should be dealing more damage than ranged DPS. I thought that felt fun. I also thought that the class design in Cataclysm was really, really solid. I also, and I know this is like the ultimate unpopular World of Warcraft opinion, but I love Vash-Ur. I think Vash-Ur is one of the coolest zones ever to level in. I had no problems keeping it straight in terms of getting dizzy or anything, and I thought it was an amazing zone. Then what else do we have here? Do you still keep in contact with Jack? I do keep in contact with Jack still. He's one of my closest friends still from the show. I also keep in pretty close contact with Kelsey and Nicole. So do we have another fight? I assume we do. Yeah. Talking loud, killing my voice. We're going to be done after this one, because then it will have been about like 2 hours or so that we're streaming. Oh, so this way is also where we can get the reverse piracy, so this is for the legendary quests, so I'll do that. Whoa! Does this kill you? No, it doesn't. Good. Aussie Bossy, did they let you keep the sword from King of the Nerds? If you mean Frostmourne, the answer is no. Same with the Buster Sword. I couldn't keep either of those, despite the fact that they were totally my swords. Watching Season 3 was actually annoying. I was like, they're playing with my swords! Todd has my Buster Sword. Of course, Nicole and I were always fighting over who actually owned those in the house. But, don't tell her, but they're totally mine. We were always, like, trying to steal them back and forth. It was hilarious. But I did get myself a Frostmourne right here because I needed to have one of these in my life. So I imported this all the way from Germany because there's not a lot of these left in existence, actually. Which makes it really, really sad that Jack and I basically destroyed one of them in the LARPing challenge. Jack covered one of the Frostmournes with black tape, and when we took the black tape off, it completely destroyed it. It was just completely damaged, and like all the color on it and the paint was taken off, and it was just completely annihilated. Someone who with some artistic skill could probably have repaired it, but it was ruined. And there's not many of these left in existence because Blizzard made them, or rather they're made by Windlass, which is a replica company. They're latex with a Kevlar core. They're like, or Kevlar tip and then a fiberglass core is what it is, rather, sorry. So they're serious LARP weapons. You can really go at it with these things, they won't get damaged. Which is why Jack and I used them, because they're great. But, no, I unfortunately did not get to keep one. I just got myself dead. What happened? Oops. I'm just gonna run down now. Run back to the thing. 'Cause I did a silly mistake. Anyway. Can't you stream some Hearthstone to keep the stream going? I would love to do Hearthstone again. That's a game that Hearthstone is one of those games I'm actually really terrible at it, but I really enjoy playing it. So I'd definitely like to stream some Hearthstone again. I'm not going to stream more, I don't think, today because I'm just getting a little tired, and there are other things I need to be doing today as well. But I will definitely stream in the future, and I will take the suggestion to do some Hearthstone in the future as well. Did we already pull the boss? No, okay. How is it going with your girlfriend? It's going great with my girlfriend, and I love her, and she is fantastic. And that just made her laugh, because she's sitting over on the couch. Okay. Yawn in there. Thank you, Grimnomancer, and you can check out Zanara Possibility. I really hope that you do. It would mean a lot to me, so check it out. I technically, it was kind of a hybrid of being self-published and being published, because the people who published it were, they're a game company that I had some friends at, but I still had to do basically all the work to get it out there. But they printed all the copies, and they're distributing copies right now, because I actually have my book, Zanara Possibility. If you go to aq.com, which is the game company who helped me get the book out there, they actually featured my character in the world in an MMO video game, which is awesome, because Zanara Possibility, I have it right here, actually. It was featured, or it was inspired, rather, I meant to say. It was inspired by video games on a very deep level. So, to see it in a video game is a total dream come true, and you can talk to all the characters, you can fight monsters, fight Shades, and Jace, and Frask, and do battle with Jirabin, who's kind of the antagonist of the book. So it's really, really fun stuff, and you can check all that out at aq.com. I would definitely recommend doing that. I would also recommend you can go to voidsaga.com to learn more about the book. And thank you for your compliment. Grimnomancer. There we go. That's a cool name, but I was having trouble saying it. Did I say it right there? I think I said it right. I really apologize to anyone if I ever say your names wrong, too. I always try my best. Why is this person moving the bomb, like, onto me? That's really not cool. So I'm not fully sure what I'm actually doing. I think now there's going to be... boat. So we have to go over to the boat. How's this work? Oh, wow. Let's not stand in the circles. Circles look dangerous. How do I get over to the boat? I don't think I can. I don't know how. It's the first time I've done this fight and I feel stupid. Okay, don't stand in the giant red circles though. That's easy enough. Aussie Bossy, who is your favorite from Season 1? That was a straight tie between Genevieve and Virgil. I loved watching Virgil. I thought he was just completely awesome and totally munching game in a lot of ways that I thought was pretty awesome and funny. When he did the thing where he just took like all the supplies from the Radio Shack room, I loved that. They actually had to change the rules after him. There's like a Virgil rule now, which says you cannot purposely take all the supplies to impede another team. So... but I loved Virgil. I thought he was so much fun. And then Genevieve I really liked, obviously, as her being the fantasy author. And seeing how well she did was really inspiring to me and really cool. So definitely it was between the two of them. Danielle was also really fun to watch. I like Danielle, by and large. Obviously, she's the first person to say she didn't get the best edit. She's not really a fan of the show. But I think I kind of support the show, and I sometimes support... I do support what she does as well, so... Aussie Bossy says, how big is Nerdvana, and can you talk a bit about the place? I think I can, because I think most of this is actually public. So Season 1 Nerdvana was in just a big old house. A big, like, old building or dorm kind of place. That's since been knocked down. It was a terrible building with a lot of problems, and I think most of the Season 1ers are probably happy it was destroyed, because it was not the best building. So it's been completely wrecking balled and crushed. New Nerdvana takes place at Occidental College, which is a college campus. So we set up there and use the college facilities in order to have Nerdvana. So if you can actually just read about Occidental College probably pretty easily if you Google it. It's a pretty major college. But that's where Nerdvana sets up. They like tweeted it when the filming was going on too. They're like, Occidental College is once again home to Nerdvana. So it's pretty big, and it's every bit as glorious and amazing as you can think it is when you see it on the show. It's every bit as awesome and more. Joshua was also really cool. I agree. Joshua was pretty fun. Okay, how do I go over here? You just click these? I want to try. Okay. I'm just going to try this and figure out what's over here, so now I know the mechanic. Because there's another little boss over here. Someone's Shaw pet. Okay, so little like blood patches get spawned. So that's just been defeated then. No, and then we go back. Okay, that's cool to know. Now I know. Makes the fight more interesting. These people are scary. then after this, we'll go ahead and we'll get the legendary quest item that I need. And then we'll be calling the stream. But I really appreciate everyone who came. It means a lot to me. I'll be doing more streams in the future. Get back into my groove of doing these more frequently, because it's a lot of fun to do that, and it's always so much fun to talk with all of you, and I really appreciate when people ask questions. It's a lot of fun, and it means a lot to me, so thank you so much. But we're not done yet. Still have this boss to kill, which has taken a while, so it might be a while. Long fight. In video games, why do they call it the boss level? It's not like we're bossing the characters around or nothing. I think they call it the boss because the concept is like the boss of a dungeon or of a level is usually in charge of all the other little minions that you've been fighting. So they're the boss of the minions. Like if you fight Bowser, he's the boss of all the Koopas and stuff. So you're fighting him, and he's the boss now of the Koopas or all of the other little minions that you've been fighting and battling. So I think that's why it's called a boss. But it is a little bit of an outdated term. It's kind of just become the term now, which is kind of funny when you think about it. Because it's not always the case that that's how it works. Zachary Storch, can you tell some stories about Khotin? Says Aussie Bossy. Whew! What's an interesting story I can tell? That's something I haven't told a lot. There's so many awesome stories. Let's think. So this was a funny one that didn't make the show. So, on about episode, right after episode 3 about, Nicole and I were talking, and she was so convinced she was going to go into the Nerd Off in the next episode, and she didn't want to go home, and I was like, nah, we'll totally do it. You'll be final 4 or whatever. And she was so nervous because it was really funny because even though Nicole and I were not working together so much because we very much weren't really in an alliance until like basically the first episode we were in an alliance, but it was never tested. But we stayed friends, so we were always friends in Nerdvana. Another funny one is at one point all of us were going crazy because we wanted like. So the one flaw in Nerdvana is that there's not like a gym or something, which makes sense on some level. Sure, we're nerds, like who needs a gym? But all of us were like, we want to move, we want to run, we want to throw a ball around or something. We haven't moved in days, so we got like a football, and we were throwing it around for fun and stuff, and it was just like random sports time in Nerdvana because all of us need to do something physical because we've been cooped up inside of a house. Which I thought was funny is like we're in this amazing nerd paradise, and what a bunch of us were thinking, what we really wanted to do is just do something physical and do something not nerdy actually for a bit and just exercise a little bit because we were trapped. It was really funny. Oh, you can't stand in them like that. Now I know. There's a lot of stories. Can definitely tell more when I think of them. Right now I'm still trying to fight this enemy though. More turrets. Let's fight the turret before it hurts people. We're actually dying. If we die, it's gonna be really sad. I died. I got killed by the turret. Are we gonna win? Hope we win. Be really lame if we had to redo this fight. Of course, then the stream will go longer. Maybe I'll have to tell another story. Let's see what happens here. Here we go. Is Papa Brewski gonna die? Good old Papa Brewski the Tauren warrior. You can do it, Papa Brewski. I believe in you, Papa Brewski. And really cutie. Really cutie? It's like really cute. Oh, I knew you just meant it as a joke, MMPR forever, but it is actually a funny thing to think about. It's like why they're bosses. It is kind of weird. So a lot of our DPS are dead. We have like only a few DPS left. So if we're gonna win, it's gonna take a while. This one has like 10 million health left. Is that what it has? Yeah. This has like 20. So if we don't res people, yeah, we're done. I think people should res me.